Your money may not be working for you yet. You may still be working for your money. And that is the part of compound interest most people are never warned about. You can invest every month, stay disciplined, avoid risky mistakes, and still look at your account after 5 years and feel disappointed. Not because the strategy failed, because the base may still be too small for compounding to feel powerful. The dangerous part is that this early stage feels like nothing is happening, even when the math is quietly building underneath you. That is where Lisa's story begins. She is 28 years old, works as a marketing coordinator, and earns $52,000 a year. After taxes and deductions, she takes home about $3,380 a month. She is not rich. She is not careless. She is not trying to get wealthy overnight. She is simply trying to do the responsible thing. Every month, Lisa invests $500 into a broad market index fund. That may sound simple on paper, but for her life, it is not a small amount. That $500 could have gone toward better groceries, a weekend trip, nicer clothes, a newer car, or just breathing room at the end of the month. Instead, she chooses to invest it, month after month, even when it feels boring, even when nobody notices, even when her friends are spending more freely. Lisa believes what she has been told about compound interest. Start early. Invest consistently. Stay patient. Let time do the work. And none of that advice is wrong. But there is one part almost nobody explains clearly. Time does not do the heavy lifting immediately. In the beginning, Lisa does. After her first year, Lisa has invested $6,000 of her own money. The market has added only about $225. That is not nothing. But emotionally, it does not feel like magic. It does not feel like the curve she saw online. It feels like she sacrificed $500 every month and got back a result that barely changed her life. And this is where many people start to doubt the process. They open the account. They look at the balance. They compare it to the effort. And quietly, they think, is this really worth it? But the real cost has not appeared yet. Neither has the real power. By the end of year 2, Lisa has contributed $12,000. The portfolio is growing, but most of the balance still came from her paycheck. By year 3, the same pattern continues. Lisa is doing the work. Her income is doing the work. Her discipline is doing the work. The market is helping, but it is not carrying her yet. And that difference matters, because when people talk about compound interest, they usually show the finished chart. They show the beautiful curve after 20, 30, or 40 years. They show the part where the line finally bends upward and starts to look dramatic. But they often skip the part Lisa is living through. The flat part. The slow part. The part where the investor is still building the base. And if you do not understand that part, you can misread your own progress. You can think you are behind when you are actually building. You can think the strategy is not working when the strategy has simply not reached the stage where it looks powerful. That is the first money logic lesson. Compound interest is real, but in the beginning, the investor is still the engine. Compounding is only the passenger. By year 5, Lisa has contributed $30,000 of her own money. That number is not small. It represents 5 years of saying no, 5 years of choosing the future over comfort, 5 years of giving her investments priority before the rest of her lifestyle. And after all of that, the market has added about $6,738. Again, that is not failure. That is real growth. But emotionally, it can feel smaller than expected. Lisa looks at the account and realizes something uncomfortable. Most of the portfolio still came from her, not from the market, not from some magical compounding force, from her paycheck, from her discipline, from the $500 she moved every month before she had a chance to spend it. This is the moment where many investors quietly lose confidence, not because they are irrational. Because the early math can be emotionally difficult, you are told that compound interest is powerful, but nobody tells you how long it can take before it feels powerful. You are told your money will work for you, but nobody tells you that for years, you may still be doing most of the work. And that can create a dangerous emotional trap. If Lisa looks at the first 5 years and thinks, this is not worth it, she may stop right before the math starts to change. She may reduce her contributions. She may pull money out. She may start chasing faster returns. Or she may decide that investing only works for people who already have a lot of money. And that last thought contains part of the truth, not the whole truth, but part of it. Compounding becomes much more visible when the base is larger. A small portfolio can grow, but a small portfolio does not produce dramatic dollar gains quickly. A 7% return on $5,000 is $350. A 7% return on $50,000 is $3,500. A 7% return on $500,000 is $35,000. Same percentage. Completely different feeling. That is why the early years are not about watching your money explode. They are about building the base that allows the future explosion to happen. And this is where Lisa reaches the most important concept in the entire story, the crossover point. The crossover point is the moment when the market's annual gain becomes larger than the amount Lisa contributes herself. Lisa contributes $500 a month. That is $6,000 a year. So the question is simple. When does her portfolio grow by more than $6,000 in a single year without counting her new deposits? That is the moment when the money starts working harder than she does. For Lisa, that moment arrives around year 10. By then, her portfolio reaches about $91,473. And in that year, the market adds around $6,758. For the first time, the growth from her investments is larger than her annual contribution. That is the reversal. Before this point, Lisa works harder than her money. After this point, her money begins working harder than Lisa. And once you see that, the whole story changes. The first 5 years were not wasted. They were the runway. The slow gains were not proof that compounding was weak. They were proof that the base was still being built. The boring years were not a mistake. They were the price of getting to the point where the math finally starts helping more aggressively. This is the part most people miss. They want the curve, but they underestimate the runway. They want the powerful years, but they get discouraged during the foundation years. They want the market to carry them, but they do not realize the market cannot carry much until there is enough capital for it to carry. By year 15, Lisa's portfolio looks very different. Now, the market's growth is not just slightly larger than her contribution. It is much larger. Her money is gaining momentum. The same $500 monthly habit that felt slow in year 2 now has a much bigger machine behind it. The portfolio is no longer just a pile of deposits. It is becoming a system. By year 20, the balance has changed again. At this point, a larger share of Lisa's wealth comes from growth rather than from her original contributions. This is where compound interest starts looking like the thing people promised her. But notice how long it took. It did not feel powerful in year 1. It did not feel dramatic in year 3. It still felt underwhelming in year 5. The curve only became exciting after Lisa had built the base long enough. And by year 30, the story becomes almost unrecognizable compared to the beginning. Lisa has contributed $180,000 of her own money. That is $6,000 per year for 30 years. But the market has added more than $565,000. Now, compounding looks powerful. Now the chart looks impressive. Now the curve finally looks like the curve people show online. But Lisa only gets that version of the story because she survived the version that looked boring. That is the emotional truth of compounding. It rewards patience later by testing patience early. And this is where the second danger appears. Because Lisa does not live inside a spreadsheet, she lives in real life. Real life has car repairs, medical bills, family emergencies, job changes, rent increases, unexpected expenses. And if she does not have protection outside her investments, she may be forced to interrupt the compounding process at the worst possible time. Imagine that in year 4, Lisa has an emergency. She needs $8,000. Maybe her car breaks down and she needs a replacement quickly. Maybe she has a medical bill. Maybe she has to help family. The reason does not matter. The math does. If Lisa does not have an emergency fund, she may look at her investment account and think, I will just take the money out and replace it later. That sounds reasonable. It is her money. She needs it. And $8,000 does not sound like it should destroy a 30-year plan. But the hidden cost is not only the $8,000. The hidden cost is the growth that $8,000 no longer gets to create. The hidden cost is the time that money loses. The hidden cost is the delay in reaching the crossover point. For Lisa, that one withdrawal in year 4 delays her crossover by about a year. By year 20, it costs her nearly $29,000 in lost growth. By year 30, it costs her more than $63,000. This is why the emergency fund is not just a boring financial cushion. It is not just money sitting there doing nothing. It protects the runway. It keeps life from forcing Lisa to pull money out before compounding has enough time to take off. And that changes how you should think about safe money. A lot of people look at cash in an emergency fund and think it is lazy money. They think every dollar should be invested. They think cash is falling behind because it is not compounding aggressively. But if that cash prevents you from raiding your investments during the fragile early years, it may be protecting far more wealth than it appears. The emergency fund is not competing with the investment account. It is defending it. That is a very different way to see it. Because the real issue is not just return. The real issue is continuity. Can the plan stay intact long enough for the math to matter? Can Lisa keep contributing? Can she avoid panic? Can she avoid pulling money out before the base is strong enough? Can she survive the boring years without deciding the strategy failed? That is the real test. Not finding the perfect fund. Not predicting the market. Not trying to force faster results. The real test is whether the base can be built and protected long enough for compounding to cross the invisible line. This is why compound interest can be both powerful and misleading. It is powerful over long periods, but it can be misleading when people show the final curve without explaining the early struggle. It makes beginners think the magic should appear quickly. It makes small investors feel like they are doing something wrong. It makes people underestimate income, contribution rate, savings, discipline, and emergency planning. But below a certain level, those things matter more than the investment return itself. If Lisa is investing $500 a month, her biggest lever in the early years may not be finding a slightly better return. It may be keeping that $500 consistent. It may be increasing her income. It may be avoiding lifestyle inflation. It may be building an emergency fund so she does not have to touch the portfolio. It may be staying patient when the account feels unimpressive. Because at the beginning, a small change in contribution can matter more than a small change in return. And this is where the lesson becomes personal. If you are investing and your account still feels small, that does not automatically mean you are failing. It may mean you are still in the runway stage. If your market gains look small compared to your deposits, that does not mean compounding is fake. It may mean you are still before the crossover point. If you feel impatient, that does not make you weak. It makes you human. Because the early years of compounding ask for a strange kind of faith. Not blind faith, not gambling, not pretending returns are guaranteed, but the discipline to understand that the visible reward may lag behind the real progress. Lisa's story is not about becoming rich quickly. It is about understanding what stage of the math she is in. In year 1, the goal is not to be amazed. The goal is to start. In year 3, the goal is not to feel rich. The goal is to keep the system alive. In year 5, the goal is not to compare her account to someone else's highlight reel. The goal is to recognize that she has built a base many people never build. In year 10, the goal is to notice the shift. The money is beginning to help more. The engine is changing. And by year 20 and year 30, the reason for the boring years becomes clear. This is the real math behind compound interest. It is not a magic button. It is not instant. It is not equally powerful at every stage. It is a machine that becomes stronger as the base becomes larger. Below that base, your effort matters more than the curve. Above that base, the curve begins to matter more than your effort. That is why the phrase, "let your money work for you," can be misleading. It is not wrong. It is just incomplete. At first, you work for the money. Then you work with the money. And eventually, if the base is large enough and protected long enough, the money begins working harder for you. But skipping the first stage is not realistic, and misunderstanding the first stage is dangerous. Because if you expect fireworks in year 2, you may quit before year 10. If you expect the market to carry a small portfolio immediately, you may feel disappointed when your own contributions still do most of the work. If you think an emergency fund is unnecessary, one bad month can force you to pull money from the runway before the plane is taken off. And if you only look at the final chart, you may miss the most important part of the story. The beginning is supposed to look slow. That does not mean it is pointless. It means you are building the part of the system that makes the later years possible. So the real question is not just, am I investing? The better question is, am I building a base large enough for compounding to matter? And the next question is, am I protecting that base long enough for the math to turn in my favor? Because compound interest is powerful, but it has a minimum. And until you reach that minimum, your income, your savings rate, your consistency, and your protection matter more than most people realize. That does not mean everyone should invest the same way. It does not mean everyone has the same timeline. It does not mean returns are guaranteed. It means the simplified version of compound interest leaves out the hardest part, the part where you are doing the right thing, but the account still feels small. The part where your future wealth is being built, but the evidence is not dramatic yet. The part where quitting feels understandable, but staying may be the thing that changes everything later. Lisa did not become wealthy because the first 5 years felt exciting. She built her future because she understood what those years were for. They were not the reward. They were the runway. And that may be the most important money lesson in this entire story. If your account is still small, do not only ask why it is not growing faster. Ask whether you are still building the base. Ask whether your emergency fund is protecting the process. Ask whether your income gives you room to contribute. Ask whether your lifestyle is quietly stealing from your future deposits. Ask whether you are judging a 3-0-year system based on a 3-year result. Because the real math is not just about the return. It is about the base. It is about time. It is about protection. It is about staying in the game long enough for the slow part to become the powerful part. Now, the real question is this. If you looked at your own money today, are you still in the runway stage? Or have you reached the point where your money is finally starting to work harder than you? Comment below, because this question reveals how people really think about investing. And if this story helped you see compound interest differently, like the video and subscribe to Money Logic for more stories that break down the real math behind everyday financial decisions. This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. It reflects general financial ideas and personal perspective, not personal financial advice. Always do your own research and consider speaking with a qualified financial professional before making major financial decisions.